Okay, looks like we're ready. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us for our panel today. My name is Tishley Harrington, and I serve for Eastern Iowa Community Colleges as the Associate Director for Post-Secondary Transition. That includes the intermediary piece for us. So I was able to jump in and help with this ag panel today. So again, so thankful that you're here to join us. If you've just joined us, I don't think we have had a couple more join on there that were in the last couple of minutes. So as I mentioned before, I do have some questions that were shared with me prior that I will be sure and ask. As we're moving through this, if you happen to have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will be monitoring that, and I'll be sure that those questions get asked. After our panel has an opportunity to chat a little bit, then we will, if we have time, I'll be sure and ask if there's any questions. And then if there are, we will be sure and you can unmute and ask those questions as we move through that. But otherwise, welcome. I'll let our panel get started introducing themselves, and then we'll get started. So thanks for being here. And I'm going to mute myself in the interim so that I don't cause any back. So Natalie, you want to start off?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Natalie Mosch, and I currently reside in Hubbard, Iowa with my husband Mitchell, and we have an 18-month-old son named Paul. We're pretty busy. We do some cattle farming, sheep, and we do some row crop as well. I am the marketing specialist with Pinnacle, and I also kind of deal with the soils team, which I'll talk about when we discuss what Pinnacle involves, but kind of the manager of that. Been with Pinnacle for 3.5 years. Love what I do, get to talk to farmers day in and day out. So it's just kind of a joy of a job.
I'm Chrissy Rhodes. I work with the Iowa Agriculture Literacy Foundation as the Education Program Coordinator. So that's kind of a long title, but essentially what I do is help incorporate agriculture into regular classroom instruction across the state. So I work some with students, some with teachers, some with volunteers, lots of different things. I've been with the organization for almost 5 years now, and that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Thank you. So Natalie, if you want to tell us a little bit more about what a day in the life is like, a little bit more about Pinnacle and what education, all of those pieces, that would be great.
Yeah, you bet. So I'll go ahead and get started. Pinnacle was established in 2004. We currently serve over 900 producers in the state, probably around roughly 88 of the counties across the state of Iowa. We also dip a little into Missouri. And so that's kind of fun just to get a broad spectrum of where we all go. What we do is we take care of, or we specialize on manure management plans, and we do soil sampling, hybrid corn and soybean sales, oil and lubricant, some crop insurance, specialized confinement insurance, excuse me. And then what kind of the majority of we do is we do the construction permits for the putting up the facilities for hog confinements, cattle confinements. So we're kind of that one-stop shop for farmers who deal with us. Really, what we help do is from the DNR side, we take those rules and regulations and we help instruct our clients, our farmers, to do the best that they can with their facilities. So a little bit of what I do is, like I said, I'm the marketing specialist. I deal a lot with interns. I deal with putting up the shows. So if you've ever attended the Iowa Pork Expo or the Iowa Pork Congress, I take care of doing that. And then I deal with farmers day in and day out. I'm calling all of those producers we take care of, and I'm talking to them about their soil fertility, making sure that they know they have to get their field soil sampled every 4 years per the DNR regulations if they're applying to that field. So that's kind of a little bit about what Pinnacle does. It's every day is different. There's nothing ever the same, which is what I enjoy about it the most. And I love to get to know some of our clients. And so it's just really fun. So a little bit of education background for me. I only have a 2-year degree, and that is in just liberal arts. I grew up on a family farm near Iowa Falls, and I thought to myself, not sure really what I want to do. I knew I wanted to go into communications, and I wanted to promote the egg industry as best I could. So what I did is I started kind of exploring my options. Interesting enough, I didn't take any egg classes at Ellsworth Community College. I went through my communication, English, um, composition, you name it, kind of more of a journalism side. Started my career in radio, broadcasting, sports broadcasting, and then I thought, this isn't helping the egg world. So I found a career with Pinnacle, and where I was able to promote the industry and love what I do and how I can do it is promoting. So it's really different when we talk about education. A lot of people come in, they assume you have a 4-year egg background degree and you've attended Iowa State or another awesome college. And, it's just funny to smile and say, no, not really. I didn't. But I think what really helps is that our office, we have 12 full-time employees. We do have 3 who have egg business, animal science, egg education backgrounds. Again, nothing that specializes in just swine industry. And so I think a mix of education is awesome in the work environment to make a company go round. So that's a little bit kind of about my education and some of the education here at Pinnacle. We do have an agronomist who also attended a community college, did that for 2 years, and got his CCA license after that and decided to join our team. And it was awesome. So again, it's just neat how you can see everyone is just different. There's not a strict 4-year degree. It's got to be from Iowa State. Nope. You enjoy life and do the best you can and what excites you. So kind of a quick day for me. What it looks like is I arrive at the office, I check in with my agronomist, we're part of the soils team, and I say, hey, what's your plan for today? I'm going to call these farmers and get a feel of what they have going on. So right now we're kind of in the heat of finishing soil sampling. So we sample anywhere between 60 to 80,000 acres a year. So that's spring and fall. So right now on our board, we still have 9,000 acres left, which we're hoping to get done next week before the weather turns. So fingers crossed for us that it still stays a little warm. But after that, it's just kind of, my job is just to go through every single one of our manure management plans and then talk to those farmers, get a feel for what they're doing and how we're doing with them so we can keep them in regulation and keep them in compliance. So that's a little bit lengthy, but that's kind of what I do here at Pinnacle.
Great, thank you so much. Now we'll let Chrissy share some of the same things.
Yeah, so I work with the Iowa Ag Literacy Foundation. We're kind of a combination between the education and the agricultural worlds, which are both very seasonal, as we know. So my day-to-day looks different season to season. So in the school year, we're working a lot with teachers. We have several different student competitions that I work with. We have a gobble up turkey marketing competition, a high stakes beef marketing competition. We're working on launching a new writing competition. So we're doing lots of things for that. We're writing lesson plans. And then in the summer, one of our really big projects is we have teacher professional development workshops. So we spend all summer out on the road meeting with teachers, doing classes essentially, and meeting with people like Natalie to learn what they're doing out in the agriculture world, to learn about all of the agricultural applications in the classroom. And then those teachers can tie that back into what they're doing in the classroom. That's a little snapshot. We have a lot of other things that we work on, lots of resource development. One of the things that I've been working on just recently is making videos about turkey production because Thanksgiving is coming up. So it can be very variable. So there's a lot of different ways you can get into that. So my pathway to ag in the classroom was I went to Iowa State and I majored in journalism and I minored in agronomy and animal science. A lot of people would think that just majoring in ag communications would be an easier route, a better route. And for some people it is, but for me, I really wanted that hard journalism, so I could be very flexible in my career path. And then I also had those hard agronomy, hard animal science classes. So I really had a rigorous curriculum that was really important to me. So that worked out well for me. And I am able to incorporate all that science into that communication. And that just led me into education, kind of. So in the agriculture world, your degree and those classes don't necessarily matter as much as your experiences and your passions. So if you have experience in agriculture, you can do just about anything in agriculture, except for maybe medical things. You probably need medical degrees if you want to be a vet, but in large part, it's about what you're passionate about and what your experiences are.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we do have some questions. I think that listening to both of you, it's quite obvious that there's quite a gamut of careers involved in agriculture, as well as quite a range of education that can go into it that plays a role in your career path and what you want to do and what pieces of ag you want to be involved with. So I do have some questions that I'm going to ask you, and I think that this will further what you've already given us quite a little bit. So you've talked about college and majors and what's required for certain jobs, and I think you answered that quite a little bit already by saying, you know, Natalie has a 2-year degree, Chrissy, you have a 4-year degree, and there's a little bit all in between there. So, and obviously, Natalie, yours is in liberal arts, so you didn't even necessarily have the ag background in your education. You just knew you wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Okay, so give me an idea of, if you know, give me an idea of what maybe the top 5 careers are in ag right now.
Yes, so we actually had to attend the Iowa State Career Fair virtually, which is something we attend to get our interns through fall, spring, and summer. We always are on kind of the search for or the hunt for those. One of the popular, degrees, one of the popular items I kept seeing was definitely ag business. I have a feeling, that's very broad, which you can go into seed sales, you can go into farming, you can go back to family farm and have that degree and do that. So I think ag business, I ran into a lot of ag communication, which again is a very broad topic, kind of hard, because that's kind of where I wanted to go, but I wasn't sure how to search for that or find the correct aspect or the correct classes. Like Chrissy said, she went into more of a hardcore journalism, but yet minored as well. So I think those are going to be the top 2. And right now, agronomy was another one on the resumes that I kept searching for. And I was kind of shocked about that because I guess back a few years ago when I was back in college, it was really more of the animal science. Like everyone was geared into animal science and doing that. So I'm going to say my top 3 are business, communication, and agronomy.
I would probably agree with that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with those are very popular majors at the moment. I think we also should maybe think about if we're thinking about getting a career in Iowa versus nationwide or even globally, because one issue that we have in Iowa, well, all over the world in agriculture, we have to think about water, and hydrology is really important. But in Iowa, our water issues are very different than like in Texas. So those would be different majors. That would be a different career path. But in climate change too, those issues are going to continue to get worse. So I think those careers are going to continue to be more in demand. And then with sustainable agriculture in the future, we're also going to be needing more technology, precision agriculture, computer scientists, software engineers, lots of technology, drone technicians, drone pilots, lots of different things in that realm as well. Lots of really technical, scientific things there. And then one thing to think about in Iowa too, about 1 in 5 people who is in Iowa has a job in agriculture. And about 5% or less than 5% of the population of Iowa is actually farmers. So there's a big chunk of people there who work in agriculture who aren't farmers. And those are people who are ag business people. They're selling the seed. they're the agronomists helping the farmers grow the crops efficiently and the best they can do. There's a lot of wiggle room there that is not just farmers, and a lot of that in Iowa is probably going to be ag business people and agronomists, I would say.
And so let's talk a little bit more, if you feel comfortable, about that global piece of it, because I do think that there is an opportunity maybe for somebody who is really interested in traveling or living abroad, or those kinds of pieces, maybe even just being abroad for a little bit, studying or something like that even. What do you, if you feel comfortable, do you have any idea the things that are happening abroad that a person who is interested in ag might be able to go over and help others do?
Chrissy, I'll let you kind of take the lead on this one more or less. I don't really deal with a lot of, overseas, a lot of broad, a lot of global, I'm really focused in Midwest. I do have a couple of colleagues who know of I can't think of the word right now, salesmen for vet tech companies that sell some medicine. They travel throughout the Midwest. And so that's kind of interesting. I mean, they go as far as they go to Colorado. So, I mean, if you're kind of in that mood to travel, there is those options in the ag world too. So.
Yeah, there's the global is so huge. It's kind of hard to think about, but there are certain majors that help promote that or educate students more. I believe at Iowa State, it's global resources technology or global agriculture systems or something to that effect that helps educate Iowans more about the global scope of agriculture. But if we're thinking about agriculture and the purpose is to produce food and we want to feed people, some of the biggest places for growth are some of the places with the least amount of technology currently. So it's kind of an interesting problem because it's not necessarily always our place to tell people how to do things, but if we have the resources to help, then some of that might be part of our responsibility as well. And programs like that global resources technology or like Peace Corps or something like that, I've had a couple friends travel abroad with some of those programs to use their agronomy degrees to go to Nicaragua or wherever it may be to help promote some technology development in places like that.
Very interesting. So I think we're going to switch. We're about to switch kind of into another category here. But before we do that, for me, my takeaway from all of that, what you all just said and the questions that you answered, is that there is so much, so many times I think, and it's changing 100%, but so many times when people say agriculture, they think of farming, right? And there's so very much more to it than being a farmer or involved in a farming in the traditional sense. It's just, there's so much more and so many more opportunities. So I think that's our takeaway when it comes to careers, correct? Okay, so let's go into a couple of other questions that we have that are a little bit different than career-wise, but still involve what you need to do to be successful in a ag career or any career actually at this point. So one of the questions that was posed to me before we got together this morning is, when you look at a resume, and I'm not sure if either of you are the ones necessarily doing the hiring, but you've probably sat on hiring committees, probably. So when you look at a resume, what are the types of things that you're looking for?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So I do the majority of looking through the resumes when I'm either hiring an intern or, I get them emailed to me quite a bit through the Iowa State Career Fair, looking for, a full-time job opportunity. When I'm going through them, really the first thing that I draw to is their work history. Is their work history going to be a part of what I want in our office or in our industry as well? So, like I said, I went from radio broadcasting to back in the ag career. So did my resume match to what I'm doing now? No, not necessarily. But when you tie it in that I was doing promoting of the egg, I was doing the egg markets on the radio, it does kind of fall back into it. So I think one of the main things I look at is definitely the work history. And then the other thing I go to is the references. I really enjoy when someone puts their references on there and doesn't say available upon request. That's just my personal take. Everyone's different, because that shows me that you're confident enough that people will give you that good boost, that good callback. And maybe 8 out of 10 times I call a reference, but there's a couple times that I'm like, I like that they even provided their reference. That shows me confidence that they're willing to give me that. So those are just a couple of things I look at. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure Christy's going to have something totally different. And someone else you brought on here might say, well, I'm going to look at this and this. But, for what I do and what I'm looking at, I want to see what your work history is like. How long have you been at that career? What kind of careers have you been in? So that's my take on resumes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, everybody who reads a resume is probably going to do it a little bit differently. And yeah, you have to do kind of what you think is best. But I agree, work experience or other experiences, club experiences, any kind of experiences you can have that would relate to the position, I think is important. So like, for instance, when I was in college, my main job when I was in college was I worked as a community advisor in the residence halls. It's not really applicable to really anything else besides student affairs, but I got a lot of different skills in that career. And I was also involved in other agricultural clubs. So if you can expand on those things, that's really helpful. And then also grammar, sentence structure, spelling, that's very important to me. I want to know that you can pay attention to those details, that you're proofreading, that you are responsible, that you care. Those are things that you're going to need in a job.
Both very good points. I think that grammar point is so pertinent. People are going to really, it shows that you care and that you've really paid attention to what you're doing. Yes, absolutely. So along those lines, I have another question. So let's think about the interview process at this point. How important is the way you show up for an interview, the way you dress, maybe the way you carry yourself? Are you early? Are you right on time? Some of those kinds of things. If you want to share some of your ideas on those, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, well, for instance, I was someone who was very involved in school and college. And so I was always early, like 15 minutes. So I do think it's appropriate to be early. 5 minutes is great. That gives, the employer a few minutes to kind of round up paperwork, kind of get ready, get a room ready for you, in case they're running a little behind. Dress, I think, is 100% appropriate. You dress for the job you want. If you're coming in looking professional, they're going to know you're serious. That employer is going to know, okay, they want this to happen. If you're showing up kind of dirty hat, dirty work boots, okay, I know that you're willing to work, but at the same time, you could have thrown on a nicer shirt, So I think dress is huge. I think it's very important to shake hands. Now, of course, with the times being that we're dealing with in 2020, it's a little difficult. But full attention is just huge to me. I want to know, again, that you have the confidence to want the job, that you're willing to take forth that effort and the attitude to take care of yourself and in the job.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. I think I used to see articles all the time about like what color shirt you need to wear to an interview, or that's just kind of silly. That's I think the important part is that you look clean, put together, professional. You don't have to spend a ton of money or buy a specific suit or something, but you look clean, look presentable, show up on time, look people in the eye, just be respectful. And it can be kind of hard to be confident in an interview, especially when you're young, but that does help too. So.
Absolutely. Again, very good points. Okay, so I do have a couple more questions that I can ask, but we are at about 3 minutes left. So I want to be sure and say to our participants, if you have questions that you've thought of that you haven't put in the chat, now's the time to ask. So if you have any, I'll be quiet here for a second and let you unmute if you'd like to ask a question. I'll give a brief pause here, and if we have a question, please unmute yourself and feel free to ask. Then if not, I'll ask these other couple questions real quick. Okay, so it doesn't seem like you can still unmute and interrupt me if you have any questions here, but I do have one more question that was sent to me before we started. So how important is school? And really, I'm talking high school now, right? So how important is your attendance? Is your doing the homework, putting in the effort, those kinds of things?
Yeah, so it's always 100% important. The effort and the attitude you're going to put into school and anything for that matter. If you're a sports, if you're a fine arts major, if you're an ag major, if you put in the effort, it's going to show. You're going to get results. You may not be the best and you may not be a starter, but it's going to show. Your skill level, your team commitment, your team atmosphere, and in anything you do, a work career, anything. I think it's 100% important to be there, be on time, focus, have attitude, good attitude.
Yeah, I probably agree with that too. I think it's less about having the record that you were there every day, but more about getting used to being there every day. So I think high school is a really good time to learn about what you like and to become disciplined in yourself and to maintain some of those study habits that you're really going to need in college, because college is a lot harder than high school. To experiment, to learn what you need to learn, and to get in some of those routines that will help you for the rest of your life. Now is a really good time to do that.
Okay, last question real quick in the chat. What are some of the entry-level positions?
Okay, so for us, an entry-level position would probably be starting as an intern with us, whether that's spring, fall, summer, and then we involve it to more of a part-time, and then we kind of go to full-time. But if you're that intern who we see awesome potential, you're here every day, you're committed, you're early, you're giving us 100%, we're gonna kind of bump you up. We're gonna want to know what you want to do for a career. But entry-level for us here, probably that intern position. And that's just personally with Pinnacle.
Yeah, that's similar with us as well. The Iowa Ag Literacy Foundation is a very small nonprofit. We only have about 5 people on staff. So the new people that we're hiring year after year are our interns, and then different organizations similar to us across the state or across different states, they would be responsible for a position like mine, and a program coordinator, an outreach coordinator, ag in the classroom coordinator, something like that. So they would be responsible for working with teachers, kind of being like a teacher's resource.
So I did miss one question in the chat that I want to be sure and ask. Is it better to go to college or try to work your way up the ladder in the job?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I think that personally is on your personal development. I enjoyed school. I'm glad that I went to my 2-year degree. I wish I would have continued to do a 4-year degree just to get more experience in the ag world, in the ag industry, because it's so broad. I think it's personally up to you. I don't know how to answer that any better.
I probably agree with that too. I think it depends person to person, who you are, what your skills are, what you want to do, what you're comfortable with. So if you want to be a welder, then it wouldn't really make sense to go to Iowa State for a 4-year ag business degree. It would make more sense to go to a technical school and learn how to weld and just be done with it. So if you can figure out what you want to do, I think it's more important that you look into that career and figure out how that career functions.
And I think another point that goes with that too is who you're looking for as an employer. That the employer may have requirements, or they may have the opportunity for you to start at an entry level and work up. It's going to depend, just like you ladies said. Okay, so we're class time wise, we're probably at the end of some people's option to be with us. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us for this. Thank you for taking the time to be involved, and to Chrissy and Natalie, thanks so much for your time to serve these students and pour into them to help them know what they want to do and move forward in their career and life paths. So thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate it, and I will make the recording, once the recording's ready, I'll make sure that those who need it have it and can share forward from there. So thanks so much, everybody. Have an awesome 70-degree day. Enjoy yourself, and thanks for joining us again.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Have a good one.